Hi everyone, Tintin57 here, welcome back to the channel for another Train Sim World 2 video. And today we're revisiting one of my most popular channel uploads for TSW 2020, which is the cutting closure scenario from East Coastway. So let's get started. Welcome to Brighton. We've called you in to assist with an incident that occurred overnight near Lewes. A report came in of a landslide near one of the tunnels. Engineers are already on site and this train has been arranged to assist with the cleanup. So we can climb in and get organised. So this is the class 66 that we're driving today. So what we need to do is use the EM2000 to set the brakes. So you can do it sitting down like this, or you can stand up to get a closer view. So we're using the classic controls today rather than the immersion controls. So on the PlayStation there is no zoom function with the classic controls, so standing up might be easier, and we'll do that for the next set of settings that we need to do. So you can see how clear that is. There you go. It is a little clearer if you're struggling sitting down. So we've set the brakes in the front, we just need to travel down to the rear just to make sure everything's ready to go. So we're taking this train down to the site of the landslide so that we can assist with taking away the fallen earth that's currently being dug out by the teams. So we need to turn the switches on so we've got power. And once again we just need to set the brakes to cut these brakes in from this cab. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this has been one of the most popular uploads that I've ever done on the channel when it was done for TSW 2020. That was done on the PS4, so the quality hasn't been as good in that video as it is. This is full HD, 60 frames. So I thought we'd revisit this. We'd do it again on the PS5. I don't know why it's so popular, and maybe it is because of having to set this EM2000. There is a lot of work to do at both ends, as you can see as well. So I know it's coming very useful for some people when they're having trouble with this scenario. The 377 just leaving. Okay, so everything's set up now in this back cab. I'm not getting the prompt there to close the door, so let's just close that and jump out. Not recommended in a real life situation, but we are where we are, so it's safer to close the door. Let's hop down to the front. So we need to run this train into Brighton Station, so then we can switch ends and then make the journey down to where the landslide is. So let's select all the switches first. Master key in, and then we need to set it to forward. It's asking us just to drop back to the main menu on the panel. Set the brake needle to 5, so you can do this with the lever on the left, or if you're on a PlayStation you can hold L1 and that will perform the same function. I do tend to use the buttons on the controller more than the in-cab controls. So there we have it at number 5. So all we need to do is add some power. Let's just check the lights. It's just after 9:30 in the morning, so we'll go day running. Let's just double check that those lights are on. They are on, but there is still the issue with the tail lights also showing. I think to clear those tail lights you need to go into the rear cab of this loco and switch tail lights to off, and that should remove them. But just for now, as we're only going into Brighton Station and then coming back out again, we'll leave that. So as we set off, that's our signal on the left hand side in 60 yards. Just add the windscreen wipers. We'll open the window so we can hear the engine. Now let's have a look for the instrument lights as well. It's better. So it's only a short run into Brighton for this stage. And as I mentioned, we're using the classic control scheme for this scenario because this is one of the original scenarios. This has not been updated in any way since the immersion control scheme came out. Certainly as a long time player, in my own case, it's always a little bit confusing coming back to the classic controls. I quite often, for example, try to open the doors with a left D-pad and end up putting the windscreen wipers on instead. So it's surprising how, having not used the classic controls for so long now, the immersion controls do get set in your brain. Your muscle memory completely forgets the classic controls. I imagine for new players that are coming in, everything is pretty much using the immersion control scheme. So if they go back and play some of these older scenarios, I can imagine it being very confusing for a new player. Maybe at some point we'll get an update for that. That would be super useful, but I don't know whether that means a complete redesign to allow the immersion controls to come in. So this is Brighton Station. The visuals now on PS5, you can see as we come into the station, are absolutely magnificent. Just looking up at the roof area there, the slight haze we've got in the station looks really, really good. And of course, we've got more passengers on the platforms. So we'll start to put a little bit of brake on. We don't want to end up going through the buffers. If we stop a little bit short, that's fine. Okay, so we can set the reverser to neutral. And once again, what we need to do is now cut the brakes out on the panel. So this time let's stand up so we can see this a little bit better. So we're already on we've already got the brake cutout selected. So we just need to go to F3 and F2 to cut the brakes out. and then we can exit back to the main menu. Let's just tidy up the lights. Okay, so now we can leave this loco and we can proceed down to the end for the rundown to where the landslide is. Let's just take a look. I'll just get a screenshot here for the rail shots. So let's put the safety systems on. So we just need to enable the fuse, and then also just over on the left we've got the DSD as well, so we'll put that on. We'll set the lights. So we've got this tail light set to off there, so we'll see what that looks like. I suspect there'll be a tail lamp on the front, which was always a bug in this scenario. So the switches are on, so now we need to cut in the brakes, which will allow us to control the brakes from this cab. So once again we've already got the brake cutout menu selected, so we just need to F2, cut the brakes in, and then we can exit. Master key in, just acknowledge the AWS, put it into forward. So when signals permit, apply power to get moving. So we've already got the green signal, so we're good to go. So I'm just holding L1 to bring the brakes up to number 5 and release the brake all the way up. So when it's in 5, when the needle's on 5, that's the brakes fully released. So we have got the tail light again on the front, which is a shame. And now the horn is stuck for some reason. Let's try and get rid of that. There we go. Good. So we've got 5.3 miles to the signal. We'll need to stop at the signal. There'll be somebody waiting for us there at the trackside to let us through the signal. Once we get to the viaduct, we'll be able to speed up to 30. And there's an opportunity, I think, for another screen capture. So just while we're on our way down to this signal, I'd just like to say thank you to all the subscribers. I've now hit 400 plus subscribers. Really do appreciate everybody that has subscribed, everybody that likes the videos, everybody that's been with me now for the last couple of years really. Don't forget, every Wednesday we do a Train Sim World 2 live stream. Everybody's welcome. Come in, come and have a chat. Let's talk about new releases. Let's talk for any issues you've got. See if anybody there in the chat can help you. It can be a bit confusing to new players once you pick up Train Sim World 2. And I know in particular this Class 66, with the way the brakes work and the EM2000, does cause difficulties at the beginning. So if there's that or anything else you need help with, jump on the live streams on Wednesdays. Be very, very pleased to see you there. Everybody's welcome. So we've got 4.5 miles to go to the signal. So this is East Coastway, which of course, as we saw, has Brighton Station, and very soon, at the time of recording this, very soon we will be getting the London commuter route, which is part of the season pass, which has also got Brighton Station in there. So this will run from Brighton down to London Victoria. So that's quite highly anticipated. So we will be bringing that to the channel as soon as that's released, so look out for that. This Class 66 actually it's a very nice loco to drive, and it's available on several routes, including South Eastern High Speed, Great Western Express. So there is a lot of variety with this loco. It's one of my favourite locos in the game. It's not the favourite loco. I would say that the Class 31 is probably my most favourite loco currently in Train Sim World 2, but this one does rank quite close. .7 miles to go until we get to the stopping point at the signal. Just coming up on the right hand side there, you can see Brighton and Hove Albion Stadium, football ground. Somebody said on the forums that on South Eastern High Speed, if you zoom out, you can also see Gillingham's football ground as you come through Gillingham Station. I'll need to do that. I've not checked that. The other one, of course, that we've got is Wembley, and that came to the PS5 just recently with the new improvements. It wasn't available for the PS4, unfortunately, and that's on the Bakerloo line. So 3 football stadiums I believe we've got at the moment, if football's your thing. So we just need to back it down. We've got a 35 miles per hour limit coming up. And we are on quite a steep downhill gradient. So with the braking on the 66, you can see the needle now is down towards 4. So with L2, you can just feed an amount of brake in and let go, and you'll see that we'll start to slow down slightly. If you start to slow down too fast, just use L1 to release the brake. So you can see here I'm just putting a little bit of brake in and we're starting to reduce, and then once it gets to where we need to be, we'll just press L1 and let the brake come back up to 5, which is fully released again. The braking is tricky on this loco right at first when you first use it, but after a while it does make a lot of sense. I find that I like to look at that centre brake needle. We've got the ones in the hood, of course, but if I'm playing where I'm in the outside cab view, I like to pop back into the cab when I'm braking. I find the needle there in the centre much more useful than the actual brake dowels in the hood on the right hand side. Just personal preference. They all do the same thing, but visually I find that easier to understand, to get the braking correct. So we're nearly there, just over half a mile. Just coming in nicely. We're still on a downhill gradient, but the speed's fine. So we need to stop at the signal. It's strange that the signal actually isn't set to red. I would have thought that it would be red. And the P-way guy that is waiting for us at the signal, I assume, although it doesn't do it in the game, but I assume he gives us a token which will let us enter past the signal and down to where the work is taking place. But it's just strange that this isn't red. Because if you're not paying attention, you could drive straight through this, potentially. It's easier in the game because we've got a stop marker, so we know that's where we're going, that's where we're headed. So we're just under 10 miles an hour. I'll just release the brake. Use this gradient just to roll towards the stop marker a little bit. You can see the P-way guy there next to the signal waiting for us. We've reached the incident site. Stop the train as close to the landslide as permitted. This will aid with a fast clean-up. Thinking about it, it could be actually that this signal isn't working correctly because of the landslide, and maybe that's why it's still showing green. Could be. So we'll put some power on. We've got just over a mile until we reach Kingston Tunnel, where the landslide has taken place. Now if I sound the horn to people working on the track, he should really put his arm in the air so I know he's seen me. That's probably asking a bit too much of the game though, I guess. So we're nearly there. I'm just not taking the speed right up to the maximum because of the short distance. Potentially as well, we wouldn't know if anybody is this side of the stop marker, so just need to be careful in case there are teams working in this area. I think in a real life situation there would probably be a temporary speed restriction in this section. However, once again, I don't think the game can simulate that, so we'll just use our own. So I've got some brake on at the moment. I'm going to start bringing it down because we're just over half a mile away. It should shortly all come into view. So we should be able to see the teams ahead of us once we get around this bend. So there's the mouth of Kingston Tunnel. You can see the teams that are working on the track. We've also got a digger. So let's try and get as near to the stop marker as possible, as we were instructed. Thanks for getting the train here safely. Head over to the site coordinator to check in. So I'll leave those brakes engaged. The other thing I'll do is take it out of forward and I'll put it into neutral just whilst we're leaving the cab. So before we do that, let's go and have a look at the landslide itself. Let's go and see what's happened. Looks pretty serious. There must have been some rain overnight. There's somebody hiding in the tunnel. So hopefully they'll get that cleaned up. Hope you found the video useful. Let me know in the comments if it was useful to you. And thanks again for subscribing. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If there are any other scenarios you would like to see on the channel, just leave that in the comments. Absolutely fine, we can do those. Thanks guys. See you on the next one. Bye for now.